Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take fascinating sources, pull out the key insights, and help you get informed fast.
And today we're doing something really unique.
Yeah, we're stepping into a conversation, essentially, with the Stoic philosopher Seneca. It's based on Salvatore Conti's Conversations with Seneca, which reimagines his wisdom for today.
Right. And this isn't just, dusting off old texts. It feels urgent, surprisingly relevant to our modern lives.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to really unpack Seneca's thinking on, well, the big stuff. Living deliberately, dealing with a messy world, handling emotions, wealth, friendship.
Even facing death. There are some genuinely profound moments in here. Get ready for some real aha insights.
Okay, so let's start with Seneca himself. What makes him stand out from other Stoics?
Well, Conti's approach really highlights this. Seneca is maybe the most relatable Stoic. He speaks from within the struggle, He's writing from the middle of Rome, surrounded by all the corruption and temptation he's warning against. He wasn't, meditating on a mountaintop somewhere.
That's a key point, isn't it? Marcus Aurelius often looked inward. Epictetus gave strict rules, but Seneca, he feels different.
Exactly. He's been called the most relatable because he knew the pull of ambition, the sting of envy, the weight of sorrow. He wasn't just theorizing.
And he was a tragedian, a playwright. That must come through in his writing.
Oh, definitely. It makes him more literary, more emotional sometimes, very fond of metaphors. He doesn't just analyze passions, he sort of dissects them, shows you how they work from the inside.
Which leads to something really interesting. You mentioned his contradictions.
Yeah, and he knew it. Conti points this out clearly. Seneca preached moderation while, enjoying quite a bit of luxury himself. He advised the tyrant Nero while personally longing for liberty.
Urged moral clarity, but wrote these intense plays full of revenge.
So he's not offering us this polished, perfect, clean conscience. That's not the goal.
What is it then?
It's more like a conscious struggle. That's the phrase Conti uses.
A conscious struggle. Okay, Can you unpack that a bit? How's that different from trying to have a clean conscience?
Well, a clean conscience kind of implies you've arrived, right? That you're morally perfect, no inner conflict. Seneca would say, good luck with that. It's unrealistic, often leads to hypocrisy.
Yeah.
A conscious struggle is about the awareness. It's knowing you'll mess up, you'll fall short, but you actively engage in the fight to do better. You own the mistakes, you amend, you don't pretend you're perfect or that the struggle isn't real.
So he becomes more like a companion in the messiness, not some guru on high.
Exactly, a fellow struggler,
Yeah.
which makes his philosophy feel less like a retreat from life.
And more like training for it. Yeah. He says it should be worn like armor, not stored like treasure.
Precisely. And it's powerful, this idea of his voice, even through this AI reimagining, asking us over and over, what are you doing with your life?
That question really kicks things off, doesn't it? Which brings us to our first big topic he insists on, time. The discipline of time.
Yeah, he saw this cult of busyness. Even back then, he called it a disease more widespread than any plague.
Wow. That hits home today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That feeling of being constantly busy, but achieving. Well, not much sometimes.
Totally. He says this busyness is often just a performance staged for others, directed by fear. We end up feeling drained and hollow, even with a packed schedule.
It's like an illusion of purpose.
Versus real meaning, which he says comes from alignment. Aligning what you do with what you truly value.
Think about it right. Staying late just to show you're working, filling every single minute.
Seneca would say that's not about achieving, it's about proving something, and it leaves you empty.
So he challenges us directly. Ask yourself, why do I do what I do? For whom? To what end?
And if the answer doesn't hold up, he'd say it's time to take back your time now.
Okay, so if we're drowning in busyness, what's his take on leisure? Because it's not just about kicking back, is it?
No, not at all. He has this really profound view. Leisure's highest use, he says, is for study, writing, reflection. It's preparation for life's challenges.
He draws a sharp line between that and just indulgence, right? Which he calls
decay, not rest. Yeah. Intentional leisure, he argues, strengthens the mind as exercise strengthens the body. It's like resistance training against the noise of the world.
getting back to yourself, not just escaping.
Exactly. And he uses this great comparison, almost a paradox.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine one guy rushing around, totally stressed, bragging about a schedule. Then another guy starts his day with a walk, reads, reflects, then handles his business calmly.
The world might praise the first guy.
But Seneca asks, which one is truly living? It's not about being idle. It's about being present, deeply present.
Which leads to that tricky question. Planning for the future? Is that smart or just putting things off?
Yeah, common confusion. Seneca's really clear here. Planning is good, noble even, but only when it's rooted in action.
It should be a compass, not a cave. I like that. Not a place to hide from today.
Exactly. He's blunt. It is not the man who dreams wisely who lives well, but the man who acts wisely today. Planning needs to fuel present action, not replace it.
So how do we actually start living like time is precious? He has that analogy, right? About the coin.
Yeah, the single coin. If you knew you only had one, you'd be incredibly careful how you spent it. Yet with time, our most valuable coin, we just throw it around on nonsense.
Because so we need to be good stewards of our time. But life happens, right? Interruptions, trivial stuff pulls at us. How do you guard against the thefts of the trivial without becoming like a hermit?
It's about the mindset, he argues. Being that good steward, consciously guarding your hours from foolish quarrels, mindless indulgence, the trivial stuff.
But that has consequences, surely.
Oh yeah, he acknowledges it. You might miss out on invites, you might offend people's expectations because you're valuing your time differently.
But there's a payoff.
A hidden gift, he calls it. When you live as if time were precious, you no longer rush. You gain this quiet power, you become self-possessed. It's about being intentional, not about achieving perfect control over every minute.
And ultimately, this links straight back to mortality.
Absolutely. The man who knows he must die does not waste time on matters unworthy of the grave. It forces clarity. It makes you choose carefully, live more deeply. The clock isn't cruel, it's just honest.
That honesty, that deliberate living, flows right into the next big theme: integrity. How do you maintain integrity in a world that, well, often seems corrupt?
And Seneca knew this world firsthand. Remember, he was advising Nero in imperial Rome. He says, systems that reward dishonesty are not a modern invention.
Okay, so what's his first step for acting ethically in those systems?
It's fascinating, actually. He says, if you wish to act ethically in a dishonest world, you must stop expecting the world to applaud you for it.
Wow. Don't expect praise for doing the right thing.
Nope. The reward, he says, isn't applause, it's peace, inner peace. True integrity comes from within. It needs strength not of body, but of conviction.
How do you build that strength?
Through small refusals, he suggests. Little acts of standing firm. Become like an oak, rooted, upright, still.
But what if you mess up? Which, let's be honest, we all do.
Seneca's surprisingly practical. He just says, acknowledge it, own it. Don't make excuses.
And shame.
Shame isn't the enemy, it's a guide. It shows you still have standards. He contrasts this with the hollow life of the dishonest person who gains things but loses their core.
And he believed one person's integrity could actually make a difference.
Absolutely. One man's conscience, visibly upheld, has more influence than 100 memos on values. Actions speak louder.
Okay, that leads straight to compromise. Is it always bad or sometimes necessary? This is tricky territory.
It really is. Let's unpack this. Seneca's view is nuanced. He says compromise is okay as an adjustment of means, not the abandonment of ends.
The adjustment of means.
Yeah, but it's a dangerous tool. It only works if we control it.
So how do you know if a compromise is okay? He gives a test, right?
He does. The first test.
Yeah.
What do you preserve in yielding and what do you lose? If you trade your integrity for favor or stay silent when you should speak truth.
That's not negotiation.
That's self-betrayal. He's very clear on that.
But he's not saying be totally inflexible either.
No, that's just pride, he thinks. He gives examples where compromise actually serves virtue, like a doctor adjusting their approach for a scared patient.
Or a philosopher changing their language for a student. Or even a politician supporting a flawed law to prevent something worse.
Exactly. Those are adjustments of means to reach a good end. The core principle, integrity, isn't sacrificed.
But he warns about compromise sneaking in, doesn't he? Entering through the side door.
It can slowly hollow out your convictions without you even noticing. The Stoic needs to know, deep down, what cannot be traded. That fundamental alignment between reason and action. If that's solid, you can bend on other things, but not that.
Which applies so directly to public life, or even just office politics.
Totally. Seneca observes, public life does not corrupt men, it reveals them. It brings out what's already there.
And the danger isn't really failure, is it? It's success.
Paradoxically, yes. Success can lead to those small, quiet concessions that chip away at your virtue over time. You start making little exceptions.
So how do you guard against that?
He stresses building a private citadel, a moral core that isn't swayed by public praise or public failure.
How?
Daily self-questioning. Was I honest today? Did I act with integrity? Just Asking the question keeps your character alive, keeps that citadel strong.
And virtue isn't just for emperors or CEOs.
No way. He says speaking truth in a meeting where deception reigns. That's public virtue right there, in the small moments. Ultimately, virtue survives only if it's essential, not just ornamental.
Okay, but this raises a tough question. Sometimes the environment feels so toxic. When is it okay to just withdraw? Is retreat cowardice or a valid moral choice?
Ah, yes, the retreat question. Seneca says it all hangs on the motive. Why are you retreating?
What's the wrong motive?
Fleeing out of weakness, being too sensitive to criticism, avoiding effort, dodging responsibility. That's not stoic. That's just avoiding the arena where virtue is actually tested.
But there's another kind of retreat.
Yes, a deliberate one, chosen out of fidelity to principle. Maybe you need time to prepare, to recover your strength, or just to keep your own light burning when surrounded by darkness.
He says there is no virtue in constant exposure to folly.
Right. He used his own exile as a forge, a place to strengthen his convictions, not just escape.
Because the danger of staying immersed in negativity is
You become numb to wrongdoing, accustomed to compromise. You lose your moral compass.
So the crucial question to ask yourself is,
Am I retreating to protect virtue, or am I retreating to avoid the cost of practicing it? The answer reveals your true intention.
wow, okay, shifting from the outer world to our inner landscape. Emotions. Seneca has some really strong takes here, especially on anger.
He really does. He calls anger a disease, like the busyness plague, a brief madness dressed as power, and he stresses it wounds you just as much as it wounds others.
He even pushes back against righteous anger, doesn't he?
Hard, he says, justice is never clear when seen through bloodshot eyes. Anger clouds judgment, period.
He also links anger to vulnerability and arrogance. That seems strong. Why arrogance? Is it just about not getting your way?
It's a bit deeper than that, I think. For Seneca, anger often comes from this hidden expectation that the world should bend to our will, our standards.
Nice.
When reality inevitably doesn't cooperate, we get angry. It's like we're implicitly demanding the universe conform to us. That's the arrogance refusing to accept what is.
So is it ever okay to be angry?
His answer, no. But it is always human. You can't just switch it off.
Right.
So because it's human, it has to be met with discipline, caught early, questioned, redirected, managed, not indulged.
Okay, so how do we build that resilience?
Yeah.
What's the first step when dealing with emotional pain?
First, recognition. You have to acknowledge it. This is pain and it is mine. Own it.
Then
Then observation. Ask yourself, what is this pain made of? Break it down.
this gets to that core Stoic idea, right? Separating the event from our reaction, our suffering. How does Seneca explain doing that practically?
He means the external thing, the setback, the loss, the insult. That's just the event. It happens. But our reaction, the story we tell ourselves about it, the meaning we assign, that's where the suffering often kicks in and gets amplified. The event itself is neutral. It's our judgment that labels it bad.
So pain is inevitable.
Prolonged torment is often voluntary. Because we choose to cling to that negative judgment, we keep replaying the suffering. It's about catching that interpretation process.
He also talks about moods, saying, we have moods, but we are not our moods. We need to observe them, separate from them. Why the warning, never trust a mood?
Because moods are fickle. They're often irrational. They hijack our thinking. If you're in a terrible mood, Seneca's saying, pause. Don't make big decisions. Don't fire off that angry email.
Let judgment intervene.
Exactly. Delay gives reason a chance to catch up.
And what about detachment? People sometimes think Stoicism means being cold, unfeeling.
Yeah, that's a common misunderstanding. Seneca clarifies it's not coldness. It's a higher form of care, a wiser stewardship of feeling. Because it allows for patience, discipline, and precision in how you respond. The goal isn't to be unmoved, but to be unshaken. Let feelings come, let them go, but don't let them dictate your actions against your better judgment.
Can we actually learn to suffer well?
He says yes, absolutely. It's a skill. And suffering well doesn't mean feeling nothing. It means suffering consciously, knowing it's happening, but refusing to suffer twice by endlessly dwelling on it or adding negative stories.
And can we still feel deeply? Can we love? Can we care? And still be stoic?
Emphatically, yes. Stoicism isn't about abandoning emotion. It's about the governance of emotion, training the heart to act under the guidance of reason, passion guided by reason. That can change the world. Unguided passion, that destroys it.
Okay, let's connect this inner world to our external dealings, specifically with wealth. This is a thorny one. Can you be rich and virtuous?
Seneca tackles this head on. His answer is yes, but, and it's a big but only if you train yourself to command it. It's not about how much you have.
It's about how lightly you hold it.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't let it own you.
He's pretty clear about the dangers, though. Wealth flatters the ego, cushions discomfort, feeds the illusion of control.
Yeah, it insulates you. The real test, he says, is what's left of your character when that insulation is gone. Can you still stand on your own?
So signs of virtuous wealth would be things like
Generosity without needing applause. Restraint even when you could indulge endlessly. Basically not needing the wealth for your sense of self or happiness.
What about the other side? Poverty. Is it just hardship, or can it teach us something?
Seneca sees it as a teacher. A stern, yes, but honest one. It strips away illusion.
And he pushes back against the shame of poverty.
Strongly. He says the real disgrace isn't being poor, it's the shame we attach to it. Poverty, he argues, can actually teach valuable lessons. Independence, real frugality, freedom from worrying about appearances.
This brings us to that key distinction. Using wealth versus being enslaved by it.
Crucial. He says, it is not the amount of gold that determines enslavement, but the degree of dependence. Are you its master, or is it yours?
Using it means seeing it as a tool, commanding it. Being enslaved means
letting it dictate your choices, your identity, your moods. He puts it starkly. If your heart rises and falls with your bank account, your virtue is already compromised.
Does wealth make it harder to have moral clarity?
Seneca thinks so, yes. Mostly because it's just plain distracting. It muffles the call of virtue beneath the whisper of indulgence.
How else?
It can create distance from others' suffering. It blurs the line between needs and desires. And it can make it easier to justify actions you wouldn't otherwise consider, often subtly.
So how can we enjoy comforts, which aren't inherently bad, without getting complacent?
View comfort as a guest, not a guide. Enjoy it, be grateful, but don't let it dictate your life or dull your drive for improvement. He actually suggests deliberately practicing discomfort sometimes just to keep perspective. And gratitude, deep gratitude, is key.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. We've talked about navigating the world, managing ourselves. What about our relationships, specifically friendship? Seneca had strong views here too, right? Distinct from just knowing people.
Absolutely. True friendship, for Seneca, isn't about networking or what someone can do for you. It's not transactional.
So what is it then?
He sees it as a school of virtue. You choose friends for their character, their integrity, not their status or usefulness.
And the purpose is mutual improvement.
Exactly. Friends should act as mirrors for each other, challenging each other to be better. You're meant to share your deepest thoughts, your struggles, your progress, and virtue. It's about deep mutual respect and a shared journey towards wisdom, quality over quantity, definitely.
So it's not just finding people you agree with, but people who genuinely help you grow.
Precisely that. He actually says the ideal Stoic sage could be self-sufficient, wouldn't need friends. But for the rest of us, striving humans, friendship is an incredibly valuable good, a vital practice ground for virtue.
It requires vulnerability then, trust.
Yes, and accepting the risk that comes with connection, the possibility of loss or betrayal. But the act of being a virtuous friend, that commitment to shared growth, that's the reward in itself, regardless of the outcome.
Interesting. Now, something else Seneca valued, which connects to his being a writer, literature. The power of stories in living a philosophical life.
Yes, he was adamant about this. Can stories shape us? Can poetry awaken moral insight? Can reading be ethical exercise? Seneca says yes, yes, and yes.
How does literature do that, in his view? Is it just conveying information?
No, it awakens rather than just instructs. It breathes life into abstract ideas. It trains us not just to know something intellectually, but to understand it emotionally, viscerally.
He has that analogy about fire, right?
Yeah, it's powerful. Knowing fire burns is one thing. Placing your hand near the flame is another. Literature gives you that feeling, the pathos of example.
It lets you live other lives, learn from their mistakes without making them yourself. Like an apprenticeship in living.
Exactly. You see the consequences played out.
But he also warns about reading the wrong way. Reading without reflection becomes not a ladder to wisdom, but a carousel of distraction.
Big danger. Don't mistake accumulation for understanding. Just consuming books, even philosophy books, without really digesting them.
It just puffs up the ego, leads to hypocrisy.
Right. You can talk the talk, but you haven't internalized it. You haven't let it change you.
So his advice on how to read is,
slowly, gratefully, with time to feel the coolness settle in. Treat the text like a companion you're in dialogue with. Read less if it means you reflect more.
and should philosophy engage the heart, not just the mind?
Absolutely essential for Seneca. A truth that does not stir the soul will rarely steer the life. The heart, he believed, is the seat of action.
Philosophy that ignores emotion becomes brittle, lifeless.
Yeah, just intellectual gymnastics. His own tragedies, remember, weren't just entertainment. They were meant to prepare the soul.
If your heart trembles, that trembling may become resolve.
Exactly. Passion guided by reason can achieve amazing things. Passion that overrules reason, that's destructive.
Okay, this brings all these threads together beautifully for our final segment. What it actually means to live this philosophical life day to day, and how it prepares us for, well, the end. What did Seneca mean by living deliberately?
Living with intention. Being the architect of your own existence, not just drifting along as leaves in a stream.
Requires attention, doesn't it?
Constant attention, daily self-questioning. Why am I doing this? And being willing to say no, often, to things that pull you off your chosen course. The deliberate life, he says, isn't careless. It looks graceful because it's prepared.
And philosophy can't just be theory. It has to be a daily practice.
It must, Seneca insists. It's the companion of our waking hours. Every single day gives you chances to practice patience in traffic, gratitude for a meal, resisting a pointless argument.
And reflection is key, but it's active self-examination, not just wool gathering.
Right, like doing mental push-ups for your character.
But reflection alone isn't enough. Reflection without action is like tilling the soil and never planting the seed. A mirror, not a destination. How do we bridge that gap?
Build habits. Habits are the bridge from thought to deed. Discipline replace drama. Let consistency replace impulse. Make virtue your default setting through practice.
And action itself teaches you things reflection can't.
Profoundly so. A coward can reason endlessly about courage, but it is only in stepping into danger that he begins to comprehend it. You learn by doing.
So when you look back, what are the marks of a life well lived, according to Seneca?
Not its length, but its depth. Character, integrity, attention, resilience, freedom from being enslaved by opinions or passions.
Using time well, humility, love.
Exactly. And crucially, the life well lived is not perfect. It is honest. It is sincere. It is aimed toward the good. The effort, the direction matters immensely.
So it's just striving for virtue enough, even if we constantly fall short?
He says, it is not only enough, it is everything. Virtue is the direction, the aim, not a final destination you possess.
Failures happen. What then?
Follow them with amendments, not excuses. Keep tending the garden of the soul, as he puts it. It requires constant work. And he adds, it takes far more courage to keep trying than to pretend you do not care.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, facing the end, what do we leave behind? What do we carry forward?
We leave behind possessions, obviously, but also resentment, masks, regret, fear, those burdens.
And we carry.
A character, the sum total, the truth of how we lived, our virtues, our choices. Our legacy isn't monuments, it's the impression made on the lives around you.
And that deep fear of death itself. Why do we have it?
Seneca's diagnosis is blunt. We do not understand life rightly. We fear what we think death takes from us. And it's partly just vanity, the ego not wanting to let go.
He argues thinking about death isn't morbid.
No, it's essential. It is childish not to. Thinking about death clarifies priorities, makes life sweeter, more intense, more valuable now.
What about the Stoic view on suicide? It comes up.
Yeah. It's complex. It's not automatically cowardice or defiance. It can be wisdom, he suggests, but only if done with reason and dignity, typically when virtue is literally no longer possible to practice, like under extreme, inescapable tyranny where your agency is totally gone. It's about the reason and the disposition, not just the act.
So does death ultimately rob life of meaning? Or does it give it shape?
For Seneca, it absolutely grants it form, like a frame around a picture. It intensifies value, demands we act now, and ultimately brings revelation about what truly matters.
And facing the death of loved ones, how do we handle that grief?
Grief is human, he acknowledges. The aim isn't to eliminate sorrow, but to temper it with reason. And love, he suggests, finds its continuation in how we live afterwards. Become something worthy of the love you once received. Honor them by living well yourself.
So wrapping this all up, our deep dive into Seneca really shows that living philosophically, it's not about achieving perfection or being emotionless, is it?
Not at all. It's about that consistent, honest striving, trying to align who you are with how you live day by day, especially when it's hard.
It's about being the architect of your own life, mastering your inner world as best you can, and facing everything life throws at you, including the end, with integrity, with intention. As we close, that challenge from Seneca really stands out. The world will not pause for our ethics, it will keep spinning. But if you can move through it without being spun off course, if you can keep your center, then you're doing more than surviving. You're standing free in a world that sells chains.
A powerful closing thought.
So the question for all of us is, what will you choose to do with that freedom today?